Hello, my friends and family. It's been a while, huh? Unless you've been around on Tuesdays. I've continued to do the Tuesday live stream, so if you've been there for that, welcome back. But otherwise, it's been since May, since the season finale to season 4 of Chasers, which was on the other channel, but it was surfaced over here. So either way, I hope you're able to catch those. In fact, I continue to be very proud of those. I think they're better than they've ever been. Some of the best videos, I think. They're videos which, this is the trick to the channel, I would watch. I don't think YouTube cares about that. I don't think they... I'm going to mention the algorithm more than a few times, I think, during this video. The most any of those 9 videos got, I think there were 9 videos in that season, was 22 views. So what else is new to some extent? It's not like that's stopped me before. And again, they're great. I took the time whenever something came up with the cards from the 90s to post the actual comic books that the trivia was referencing. I did so much work on those. So I'm not going to lie, as good as I do think they are, kind of took the wind out of my sails a little bit. Not that I'm not thankful for those 22 views, by the way. And if you add them all up, it's probably almost 100. You're fantastic people. Thank you. I wish this cannot just be me grousing for 30 minutes. Although, side note, what do I do with that series now? I've got plenty more boxes of cards in here. It doesn't seem worth the time investment to do episodes like those. Do I just do a live stream per box? I think that's what most people do. Anyways, I mean, to some extent, that's the wall I'm kicking up against, is that in this space, it's like do a live stream, box break, you're done. And I'm stretching that out for 9, close to 20-minute, if not more, episodes. So stay tuned, I guess, on that one. Got a bunch more cards. Maybe I just open them without the camera on. I don't know. This is crazy. Things are crazy. So I took some time off. Like I said, that last episode went up in May. It is now August, right? And while I did mostly consciously take that break, I don't think I planned on a 7-month hiatus for cinematic. So if you're here for that, I do apologize. And you might actually be, because those numbers have continued to climb. Those get way more than 22 views. I should be investing in that series more than anything. Maybe people found the series and have been going episode by episode, which is kind of what I always hoped, although I think that's contra to the algorithm, if I had to guess, and I do. But the algorithm does seem pretty good about, newsflash, giving you more of what you want. Like if you click on one of those, at the very end, at least one other one should pop up if you just want to keep going or something like that. Seems pretty good about that, but seems about as finicky. Like either you or I can take a break and it will stop doing that pretty easily, it seems. But again, thank you. You're awesome. I'm glad we're both here, and I'm going to keep doing that series, by the way. I've had, in fact, an episode scripted for Tai Chi Master since it ended. I just never recorded it. So that will still be upcoming. That series will continue. I miss watching those movies. And I do have an idea to ease myself back into that series, because I didn't stop watching movies. It's just that I shifted a lot of things during the break. I got some distance, some perspective. So stay tuned again. We'll honestly see what happens as I spin things up. I've said this before, but I do kind of like to drunken box my way through this, roll with the punches, so to speak. But I think I can tell you this, actually, because I was, for the most part, just going and going. I think when I threw up the Patreon, it was like, I can get a live stream and at least 2.5 videos a week. And the more those videos evolved, the more time they took. And I think I didn't ever really adjust so much. And I'm the type of guy that's like, if I don't do it, it's still there. So I'm digging a hole for myself in a way. I'm going to do just one video a week in addition to the live stream. So if you're, again, here for the live stream, it's great. Although I've been able to edit some of those live streams down, because most recently I did a 100th episode that chronicled some of my favorite Tetrises over the years now that I've been doing that. So go check those out if you haven't. They were really fun edits of the live stream to do, and I think they're way more efficient and easier of a watch if sometimes you show up for the actual live stream and I'm just kind of there. So while the live stream continues apace every Tuesday at 10 a.m. PST, I'm going to try and limit myself to one other video a week. And maybe I even find a day that it can drop on a regular basis. So we'll see how that goes. And I'll try to be a little bit more talkative on the Patreon, both publicly and privately. So if you do subscribe there, if you are kind enough, although I am going through a bit of a redo over there, I'm going to update some of it's a lot of words and too many tiers and et cetera, et cetera. So if that's all been confusing, go check that out in like 2 days or so. Because patron shout out number 1, you guys are amazing. I love you so much. I'm not even, like, I can't say anything. This is the problem with the internet. It all sounds sarcastic. I love you guys. You may never know. And you're not the only ones I want to shout out, actually, for the rest of the video. So I think I've mentioned this before too. Been so long. One of the greatest compliments I feel like I can give is when other creators inspire me to create. I don't know if that's a thing, like I don't know how other creators necessarily feel about that. I hope people can watch my stuff and think, I could do that. I joke. It's more than that. What I'm talking about here, like some of the people I'm going to mention, I'm going to shout out, like I've listened to their stuff, watched their stuff, whatever it is. And by the end of it, I'm like energized. It's what I call the skate tape phenomenon. I grew up skateboarding. That I know I have mentioned before. You can watch the older school video on old school is the name of the video on the channel. I hoped to produce a series around it called Older School that seems to be slipping away from me with my age. But what we would do is we would watch these skate videos that we got from sometimes the skate shop. I want to say the very first skate tape I bought off of Johnny Moreno. So as a young kid in a small town, you always looked up to the older skaters. You met them on the street. You didn't have to go to the same school as them most of the time. In fact, I don't think I did. But he sold me the New Deal skate tape. The Deal is Dead, I think it might have been. It's probably on YouTube. I think all of the skate tapes I'm going to talk about are on YouTube. But after that, it was Virtual Reality, Plan B. Later on, in fact, maybe the last was Suburban Diners, which, not to go off on too much of a tangent, but that was Stacy Peralta. Like, he did all of the Powell videos, which, now, like if you've seen Dogtown or Riding Giants or whatever it is, like any of his actual movies that he's produced since, like Suburban Diners was almost like a breaking point. I don't know if he did another skate video after that, but that skate video was so well done in spite of some not like it wasn't the best skating you saw in any, that was Virtual Reality, honestly, at the time and for my group. But what I'm getting at is by the end of those videos, we were just amped. Like we thought we could do anything and we would just fly out the door as long as we stopped it before the slam session, actually, which usually was at the end for some reason. But sometimes even then, we would just still fly out the door and fall first. We fell mostly, actually. I don't know what I'm talking about. So I wanted to shout out some creators that do that for me now, starting with the Nextlander folks. And I've been with the Giant Bomb crew since I don't know when. Good gosh. I wasn't there like arrow pointing down days or anything like that, but very soon thereafter was there through the death of Ryan Davis, which is still crazy. And again, this is all parasocially, so it's weird to talk about it anyway, but I've just been with that crew forever. Speaking of Giant Bomb, until, and I even hesitate to mention this a little bit, but the lineup changed over the years, and with, personality-based content, you jive more with some than you do with others, but they had some newcomers that would, I'll tell you what the breaking point was, because this is instructive, I think. There were some reviewers that would review games based on what they expected, which always seemed so wrong to me, and maybe I'm off base, I don't know, but they would come in and be like, yeah, I didn't like this game because I was expecting this. And I'm like, what does that matter? I mean, I guess if I was more invested in the person, it would matter a little bit more. But anyway, it was a rough transition and the media landscape was changing, blah, blah, blah. I mean, this is all why Giant Bomb kind of became what it is, although it is now back to being independently owned. What a weird trip, regardless. But I went with the Nextlander crew as they departed and spun that up, and have been with them ever since. And I started this trip by way of PAX, and this is going to be a recurring story. Speaking of which, going to PAX in less than 2 weeks at this point. So definitely stay tuned to the Patreon for that reason, because I always put up posts there while I'm working the show. Again, I'm enforcing, so should be fun. But I came into Giant Bomb by attending their panels first, and then was like, what is this? And got into the podcast and whatnot. So maybe it was a little bit later. I don't know. I started going to PAX in 2011, so it was probably, no wait, 2010? Anywho, thank you to the Nextlander crew. Keep doing what you're doing. You, again, inspired me to get out there and play some games and talk about them, for better or worse. The other guys I want to shout out, same thing happened. Actually, I went to some additional panels at PAX, 2013 at the latest, maybe, that were like video games and movies. That was kind of it. That might have been the title of the entire panel. And it was a panel with Matthew Kroll. I think Red was on there. I don't think Shahir Daud was in the mix just yet there anyway. But from then on, started following Matt Kroll, and when he spun up the Only Movie podcast, or the only podcast about movies, Topam, whatever, however you want to say it, I've been listening to them ever since. And that's kind of an easy one for me. Like I could also be telling you about movies that I watched that by the end of them, I'm like, what can I make now? So listening to them and their similar feelings or similar enthusiasm for the medium does the same thing. And I have since been able to go back and share with Matthew Kroll that unique, maybe, starting point and continuation. He did a Metal Gear, which I only made it to the very end of because I was working the show, again, at PAX last year, but did get to kind of share that story and talk with him about it, and then email it in, and it got read on air. So great stuff. In fact, talk about two worlds colliding. One of their most recent episodes was on Spider-Man Brand New Day, which, speaking of movies, I have seen and enjoyed a great deal. But they had Jonathan Blade, who's a patron, and who I've done, on his podcast. We did one on the 1989 Punisher movie. He came on with me to talk about The Perfect Weapon at one point for cinematic. So what a great group of guys, regardless, that again, endlessly inspire. And speaking of enthusiasm, I also need to shout out Tom Buck. He does a, I guess, AV channel, if you really want to boil it down. This is maybe the one win for the algorithm that's not true. It's benefited. In fact, he will tell you he met his wife this way. Sorry, this is weird. But the algorithm could have just seen the poster, the Aquabats poster on my wall, and been like, oh, him too. We were apparently at the same show, funny enough. But it led me to his channel. I think I already had some videos up about AV equipment as well, so that was probably another easy win, but showed up for that and then basically stayed for the authenticity. Like, he's on a real 3D printing trip right now, which I do not have, although I won't say I'm not getting closer every day. But he's someone that brings, again, a certain authenticity to the space that you can't, especially nowadays when that's in, it seems, such short supply. So go hit up Tom Buck if you're in the AV space, certainly, at all. And he's been kind enough to answer my emails. I don't want to blow up his spot necessarily. I'm sure he's a busy guy, but just the best. And last, but actually not least, the Bouncing Souls. I've also talked about them endlessly on this channel, used their music over and over and over again with kind of their permission. I spoke to Brian at a little tiny show at a pizza place before they played at the Knitting Factory in LA, I think it was. And he was like, yeah, go ahead. I mean, what was he going to say to this dork that was talking to him? But thank you to the Bouncing Souls. I'm going to go see them in February. In fact, the hard decision I have to make is whether or not I'm going to see them twice. They're playing at the Observatory and the Belasco, which, if you've never been to the Belasco, the easy one. I'm definitely going to the Belasco. It's like the Belasco Theater is a historic theater in downtown Los Angeles, California. Opened in 1926. It operated as a playhouse and briefly as a movie theater until its closure in 1950. Okay. Walls and Clements designed it in the Trigueresque style, less commonly ultra Baroque. It's a Spanish Baroque style. It is gorgeous. Go see a show there, absolutely. But then I have to decide if I'm going to go see them at the Observatory as well, speaking of the Bouncing Souls. They have, I don't know if this worked last time I did it, but I don't care. They have a new album coming out. It is already out, Born to Be. I've been listening to it on YouTube because I'm going to buy it at the show. I figure that's how the money goes most directly to them. But it's great. For the record, I think since they've paired with Will Yip, it's been outstanding. They did 10 Stories High together, and Crucial Moments might have been the first. All just fantastic records. That band continues to evolve in a way that I feel like I am as well, strangely enough. And just relentlessly positive. Again, I don't know if this worked last time I did it, but I'm going to play a song for you. That was The Light. Also check out As One, All the Good Things, Only Echoes, which I do love their not so slow transition into. They're very 80s inspired, and Only Echoes is straight from that school. I feel like Rick Beato up here just grooving. Oh, and hey, while I'm on the subject of music, actually, this is another album that's been bringing me a lot of joy lately. We went and saw the Slackers. They've been doing these fantastic little shows, and they played at the Soho in Santa Barbara. And we got like a table. It was like dinner and a show. We got a table almost touching the stage. And then after dinner was over, we danced all night, as it were, because Candy did and I didn't. But they were touring on this little tiny EP, Money is King, and every song might be the best. That's Glenn, but Vicks are great too. And to watch him play, like if you just saw him from here up, you wouldn't know if he was playing piano or percussion, honestly. Just a great show, great band. All of those bringing me, like I said, a lot of joy lately. Inspiring me to turn on this camera for better or worse. In fact, here's an idea. So I think something else that came to me, I've been saying this forever, but I gotta get out of this garage for some of these. I have it in my head. This is the solution to every problem. Create another channel. This isn't something I'm gonna deep dive on, but what if I had an excuse to do something just fully creative? And music and music videos are this for a lot of people and a lot of videographers or filmmakers, whatever. So I got a placeholder of a channel up just called Unofficial Souls, and just gonna pick a soul song, make a video out of it. Can't be anything too complicated. It's not gonna be like scripted in the way, you know, I'm not gonna try to tell a story necessarily. If it's about like a person, the Souls have a lot of songs that are just named after people and almost Johnny Cash-like in their storytelling, you might say. I'd never say never, I guess, but the idea isn't to, you know, script out something like that. It's to find a hook and put some footage together for, I don't know. Again, creativity is the goal, should that actually happen. So thank you to all of those creators, those artists that I've mentioned so far. And extra special thank you for the second time, and I hope the umpteenth time, the patrons. You guys inspire me more than anybody or anything. Again, you may never know. At whatever tier you are subscribed, which nobody's bumped their stuff down during this break. Let's put it that way. Nobody's canceled. If you want to know how good, how amazing my patrons are, they've hung out while I've sat here and tried to figure things out, not just for the past 6 months, let's say. But thank you, Brandon, Adam, Diana, Kim, Greg, Matt Mark, Jonathan Blade, Karina, and Slip Tide. Got y'all. And whoever the next one is, maybe you're watching right now. I know, sucks right at the end to be like. But why I'm saying thank you is that it's not just that. It's not just money. Again, it's what that says, which I don't believe that money is free speech. So that's not what I'm talking about. Ooh, politics. You stuck with me through all of this stuff that I do, all of this drunken boxing that I do. You're the heroes here. And anybody that's watching, liking, subscribing, of course. Thank you. And I'll be back on Tuesday. You can come say hi, even before that, if you find me on the socials. But who knows after that? I do some of what I just said, but then also how? Stay tuned again, and we'll all find out. So, thanks, guys. See you later.